Hey, Tariq, the NFL's worst nightmare is sort of beginning to formulate here. Earlier than they expected, perhaps, with the Tennessee Titans dealing with a COVID problem. Their game has been postponed for at least 1, maybe 2 days this week coming up against Pittsburgh. They don't practice till Saturday. How does this sit with you?
Well, first of all, you got it early. You got it early in the season. You've got a first major sort of crisis with COVID-19. You knew full well it wasn't going to go unscathed. It happened in Major League Baseball. Look at the Marlins and look at the St. Louis Cardinals. They both had outbreaks. They're in the playoffs. So you can survive this if you're able to plan ahead. Now, for the NFL, it's a little bit different because you can't be in facilities for the next couple of days. You can't practice. But you can't have another major outbreak with multiple teams. If one team, you can survive. Multiple teams, we have a real issue.
You can't do that in the NFL. Every game matters. You don't have the ability to play 2 games a day. You don't have the ability to play 2 games within a 6-day run. Look, I want to believe, because the NFL has had so much time to step back and study what the other leagues are doing, that they have a plan that is going to work. It's a billion-dollar industry. They own a day of the week. But as we've all learned over the last couple of months, there is nothing about this virus that is predictable. So I'm hoping to goodness that there is a rock-solid plan that'll work and not that the NFL decided we're just going to go and see what happens and hope for the best. Because if it's a second one, you got some problems on your hands.
Tariq, let me bring up something else, too, here. The Bills, it seems to me, are walking into a kind of a hornet's nest with the way the Raiders have handled this whole COVID thing, with just apparent, team-wide disregard.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the mask issue, that they've had to deal with. I know you brought up the charity event in which things look terrible. Listen, so far the Raiders so good. I mean, they haven't really been caught with anything as of yet. I don't want them to spread anything going forward. Nobody does in the NFL. But I find this to be interesting that the Bills now have to go out to, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the Bills segment coming up. They have to go out to the Raiders, and then who do they have after that? The Tennessee Titans. So, I mean, it's like 2 weeks in a row. You're dealing with 2 teams that might have this sort of COVID-19 issue. That being said, I mean, the Raiders are still a good team. The Bills have to travel. Sean McDermott, I give him credit. He runs a tight ship. Nobody's allowed to go anywhere. He does very good with travel. So we'll wait and see how that goes forward. And hopefully the Bills, either come away with a win and no COVID. That's the best case scenario going forward.
So, Pat, again, you mentioned the fact that it would be typical if the Bills were to make the Super Bowl this year and they couldn't go as fans. This would even be worse. I mean, you take and derail what's happened so far with Buffalo, which has been all positive, and have COVID get in the way of all this.
Yeah, I mean, that Titans story early this week, I'll be honest, man, like things have gone so smooth in the NFL, I almost forgot COVID was like a possibility, right? Like the distractions of the Bills playing so well, nothing was being mentioned, even in the other major sports as well. Yeah, man, it hit home really quick. The only thing that's giving me solace is, as of right now, the Bills have a 3-year window based on all the contracts that are done. If for some, God no, horrible thing were to happen, you can come back and run it back again next year and not much is going to change. And who's to say that something like a couple of positive cases on the team takes a week away, takes a couple of guys out for a week or 2 that aren't important. I mean, look, this Titan story, we don't know who it is as of when we're taping this thing. If it's Ryan Tannehill, that's a huge problem. If it's a depth linebacker and, the 5th receiver, listen, I feel for those guys, I do. But from a competitive standpoint, you can still survive missing those types of people.
This has to be going forward. I think the second half of the year, after you played 8 or 9 games, is going to be a major issue because now we're going to try to determine who's going to make the playoffs or not.